Hello everyone, it's Ryan Liberty, and in this video I'm going to answer the question, what is a victim? Alright, we're going to discuss what is a victim in this video, but before I get to that I just have to give a little warning here that we are talking about a potentially abusive topic, an emotionally abusive topic here. Maybe physically abusive, so if that's triggering in any way to you, you may want to turn the video off right now. That's okay. Maybe leave it for another time when you're feeling like you're more able to handle it. Perfectly acceptable. Also, if we're talking about emotional abuse specifically, we're talking about a pattern of behavior, so not to be confused with, we all do emotional abuse now and then. It's when it becomes a pattern that's consistent over time that becomes an abusive behavior. I always like to make that distinction. If you find that you are in any kind of abusive situation, do what you can to seek help, get the support that you need. There is help available out there. Just go looking for it. I promise you, you will find it if you are dedicated to looking for it. But get that help, please, if you're in any kind of an abusive situation. Now that all out of the way, what is a victim? So I've got my notes as always because I do research before these videos. And a victim, when we typically talk about what a victim is, we're talking about a victim of a crime. Somebody who was robbed, somebody who was stabbed, somebody who lost a lot of money because it was taken from them, that maybe they got had by a pyramid scheme or something. So we're typically thinking of crimes when we're talking about a victim, although I also like to widen the perspective on what the definition of victim is as far as a psychological perspective. We also have people who are victims of abuse, which can also be a crime. But when we're talking about something like emotional abuse, it's not recognized as a crime currently. So that would also be something I would consider that you could be a victim of. You can also be a victim of circumstance, and that includes things like a natural disaster, being in some kind of an accident, like a car accident. Mental illness could be your circumstance. So I also include that in the definition of what a victim is. And I just want to make a special note about mental illness in particular. Many people who have a mental illness wrongly believe that something is happening to them that is not actually happening, and they will feel like a victim. Here's the thing, they may not be a victim of what they believe is happening, but they are still a victim of mental illness. They're still a victim of that circumstance that they're in. So, whether you want to argue over whether they're a victim of this or that, they're still a victim. That said, being a victim is not a choice, and something you may want to look into. I'm making another video on victim blaming. So if you have this feeling that somebody chooses to be a victim, you may want to also check out that video. But being a victim is not a choice. Being a victim is when something happens to you. Victims also can be offenders, and this is maybe where sometimes we get a little confused, because somebody who is a victim could also be making somebody else a victim by their own actions. And that gets to my next point, which is that situations can have two or more victims. Sometimes we want it to be a clear-cut definition of this person did wrong and this person was the victim. Sometimes it's a little mixture of both. Sometimes one person's more a victim than the other person. So when we're talking about who's a victim, who's not a victim, really it comes down to if the person feels like a victim, if you can find the evidence that something was done to them, then they're a victim. It's really that simple, and you can have more than one victim. So just some examples quickly of what a victim might be. Somebody getting shot, stabbed, punched, or bullied, having neglectful parents, you could be a victim of that, being raped, being gaslighted, having an abusive partner, having a tree fall on your house, getting cancer, so like a medical condition, living in a society that discriminates against you, living under an oppressive government, and having your town bombed in the middle of a wartime. So any of these kinds of things you would be a victim of those things. Now, the person who's experiencing being a victim they're probably going to feel, especially as far as their body, but in general, the feelings that you would get with a trauma and stressor related disorder. So something like PTSD or acute stress disorder. So in the body, you'll have anxiety symptoms. You may sweat, you may have a racing heart, shortness of breath, tingling, hot and cold flashes, those kinds of things. What you might be thinking when you're a victim is you might be very confused about what's going on. You may try to rationalize what happened to you. You might think about what happened to you very often. You might have flashbacks, as we see in PTSD. You may dissociate to cope with it. Emotionally, you may feel hurt, betrayed, scared, alone, angry at what happened to you or the person who did something to you. You may feel sad. You may blame yourself for what happened. You may have a lower self-esteem, and it may progress into something like a depression. And behaviorally, you may isolate yourself from people. Very common when somebody's a victim of something. Or you may lash out at people. You know, when you're having a flashback, you're angry, you want to fight back. That would be lashing out. You may also do something like trying to get people to hear you, trying to get people to recognize your victim status. And that happens a lot when we're being victim blamed. So I'm going to urge you to watch that video once that's out. But that's what a victim is. I want to hear from you, though. What do you define a victim is? Do you think that I've got everything here? Maybe you disagree with something that I've said. What would you describe as a victim? And are you a victim of something? If you want to, go ahead and share that down below. But that's what I consider to be a victim, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I appreciate you coming to learn about what a victim is today. Hey, it's Ryan Liberty. If you like that video, please give it a thumbs up, share with a friend, and leave any questions or comments down below because that would really help me out. If you're somebody who's gone through a traumatic event and you're feeling cut off from the people around you, I have a free course that will help with that, so please click to get it. And if you'd like to see the rest of my videos, please click subscribe. As always, I want to remind you that your life matters. Nobody can question your worth. However it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, it's okay, and you are loved. Thanks again for watching.